Have you ever wondered what was south of Australia? South of Africa? South of South America? Well, that's where I'm standing right now. I'm at the southernmost point you can be and still be on the Earth. I'm at the South Pole, Antarctica. Now that's south.
3, 2, 1.
Contact is the secret, is the moment. When everything happens, contact is the answer, is the reason that everything happens. Contact. Let's make contact.
Antarctica is a continent, the size of United States and Mexico. There's a lot of snow and ice here, but not many people. Nobody lives in Antarctica. The few people who are in Antarctica are scientists. They're doing research, and they're here from all over the world. Japan, France, Belgium, Germany, and the United States. And they're trying to discover more about this place, the last continent. Antarctica, getting there. I'm on a jet that's taking me almost halfway around the world. My final destination, McMurdo Station, Antarctica, the bottom of the Earth. To get there, we go through New Zealand. We leave New York City and head west across the United States. This part of the flight takes 6 hours. We keep heading west, high over the Pacific Ocean. We've been in the air now for over 12 hours, and we're 6,000 miles from New York. It's dawn, and I can see the sun just coming up. The plane I'm on is a 747, one of the largest in the world. There are 2 pilots, and I have a chance to visit them in the cockpit. What's surprising is that no one seems to be flying the plane. In fact, the 747 is on autopilot. A computer is guiding it. But the crew is always checking to make sure that the plane is on course, going the right speed, and flying at the right altitude or height. We're now approaching a small island in the Pacific Ocean called Tahiti. It's over 7,000 miles from New York, and we've been flying for 14 hours. Some people are getting off here. Tahiti is a warm tropical island, a great place for a vacation. But I'm not dressed for it. Where I'm going is a lot colder. Still, it's nice to get off the plane and stretch for a few minutes. After refueling, we'll be back in the air. Our next stop takes us farther south. We're on our way to New Zealand, the last stop before Antarctica. In all, I will have traveled over 10,000 miles and spent 22 hours, almost a full day, on a plane. While some people are up and about, I'm not. New Zealand is a beautiful country in the South Pacific. It's a lush green place with a mild climate and only about 2,500 miles from Antarctica. If you're on your way to a United States base in Antarctica, you have to stop here to get outfitted with special clothing. I'm in Christchurch, New Zealand, the last step before I get on the plane to Antarctica. All this is my wardrobe. ready for Antarctica. All of these people are either scientists or support staff waiting to board the plane to Antarctica.
We're going down to Antarctica from England to look for very high-energy gamma rays from the supernova, which is a star that exploded in February in the Large Magellanic Clouds.
I'm going to Antarctica with the U.S. Navy. I'm in Antarctic Development Squadron 6, which provides the transportation all over Antarctica, including to the South Pole.
G'day, I'm a New Zealander. We're going down to Antarctica to put radio transmitters on penguins so we can track where they move out at sea.
I work with a group of scientists who collect meteorites out on the polar ice cap.
Hi, I'm a mountaineer and I'm going down as part of a safety supervisor's job looking after all these scientists when they're down there.
We're going from New Zealand down to McMurdo to do a survival course on the ice.
Our final leg of the trip will be on a C-141, an Air Force transport plane. It's big, noisy, and no windows. But we do get a boxed lunch.
Mom is giving you lunch. Thank you. I'll pick yours up when it's your journey.
Okay, thank you. C-141 military transport plane. Not meant for passengers, it's meant for cargo. The trip's gonna be about 5 hours and it's pretty noisy, so we got our earplugs. I think we're about ready to take off. Leaving Christchurch, we head almost due south to Antarctica. And we'll land at McMurdo Station, the main U.S. base on the continent. Another long flight. But this plane's a little different from a 747. I go up front to meet the crew. Navigator, engineer, pilot, and co-pilot. How long till we get there?
Well, it'll be about 2.5 hours. Right now we're about, about almost 1,000 miles away.
All right, so we're about halfway there?
A little over, yes.
What's the weather like there?
Right now it's just a fairly clear day, a few scattered clouds, and temperature's about 16 degrees Fahrenheit with light winds. Very nice day for the Antarctic.
16 degrees sounds cold, but I guess for Antarctica, that's pretty good weather.
That's real warm weather. It's their springtime.
How long have you been flying down to Antarctica?
We only get to do this normally about once in our lifetime, and we've been down in New Zealand for about 2 weeks. This is our 5th trip down to Antarctica. We'll be going home after this trip.
Co-pilot Nav, here's your LNAC air rep, and be advised the PSR is the same as pre-flight 0006 Zulu. It's about a half hour from this time.
Okay, no change. Thanks a lot.
Carl, what's point 00006 and what's Zulu?
What we have to fly by is called Zulu time. Since we cross so many time zones during the course of a flight, we can't constantly be changing our watches, so we set all of our times to Greenwich Mean Time or Zulu time, which is the time that it currently is in Greenwich, England, and then everyone throughout the world flies on that same time.
Oh.
The 0006 is a Zulu time at which we had to make our decision to either continue ahead or to turn around and go back.
That time is called the point of safe return?
That's correct. Once we've gone past that point, we're committed to going on into McMurdo, and regardless of what the weather is, we have no alternative but to try to land there.
Why, because you don't have enough fuel to get back?
That's correct.
Have you made it down there all the time you went?
We had one of the missions that we had to turn around when we got to the point of safe return. The winds were out of limits for us, so we would not have been able to land on the ice runway and then keep the aircraft moving straight down the runway, so we had to abort and go back to Christchurch.
Wow, that must be really disappointing.
Well, it's disappointing a little bit, but by the same token, it's a good feeling to know that you can still go back home instead of having to go down there and have to land in conditions that are unsafe.
I'm having a great time up in the cockpit, but for some, this is just a long, tiring trip.
Mac weather, ice 25 on 13 upper, requesting the 00 Zulu observation.
Ice 25, McMurdo weather.
Mac weather, ice 25, go ahead, sir, ready to copy.
Roger, forecast weather, McMurdo, time 0000 Zulu, 3,000 scattered. Visibility 40 kilometers. Temperature -11. Wind grid 250. 15 knots. Altimeter 2880. Good. How copy?
Ice 25 copies all, sir, and say forecast winds.
Our mission is called Ice 25. It may sound like they're talking gibberish, but the information being transmitted tells the pilots the latest weather conditions, so they can decide whether it's safe to continue to McMurdo.
Intermittent conditions, sir. Are we still looking at 250 at 12?
That's correct. That'll be an intermittent condition expected to last approximately 20 minutes.
Ice 25 copies all, sir, and we'll give you our decision in just a moment. Okay, pilot, based on the winds of 250 at 12, we're within limits. What would be your input as far as going ahead and pressing on or returning back?
I'd go ahead and go in.
Engineer?
Let's go for it.
Navigator?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go for it.
Max center, ice 25 on 13 upper.
Max center, go ahead.
Roger, ice 25 has reached our PSR and we have decided to continue for McMurdo. Do you copy continue for McMurdo?
Max center copies, ice 25, proceeding to McMurdo, thank you.
Ice 25. We are committed, crew.
At last, out the window, I can see Antarctica. More snow and ice than I've ever seen. Touches of gray and blue that are water. Spots of brown that are land. But mostly just an endless white field, barren and beautiful.
Deborah, if you look out here, you'll see the valley. There's a valley, and down inside of it, you can see what looks like a river of ice. That's a glacier that's snow-covered, and they all flow down into the ocean here.
How fast is the ice moving?
It'll only move a very small amount. Some of the glaciers they talk about only move a couple of feet per year. The height of the mountains out here is about 12,000 feet, and it doesn't look like it's very tall at all here, but that's because there's about 8,000 feet of ice on top of those mountains.
We passed Mount Erebus, an active volcano on Ross Island. We're about to land on an ice runway. This airstrip is actually on an ice sheet that covers much of the sea near Ross Island. So we're on ice that's floating on water, not covering land. It's thick enough to support this heavy jet, but less than a month from now, all this ice will be gone, melted away as the summer temperature rises. After 27 hours of flying over the last 3 days, I'm on the ice. Antarctica. The airstrip is about 2 miles from McMurdo Station, the largest base in Antarctica. McMurdo is the United States headquarters at the bottom of the world. It's very much like a small town, There are places to eat, sleep, and work. During the summer, almost 2,000 people live and work in McMurdo. But during the dark winter, the population drops to under 200. Because the ground is frozen solid, everything here is built above ground, including pipes for fuel and electrical wiring. And none of the buildings have basements. McMurdo is growing as more and more scientists come to this frozen continent to do research. Not all of them stay at McMurdo. Some go to other base camps in Antarctica. But while I'm here, McMurdo will be my home base. When you think of Antarctica, what do you think of? Polar bears? Igloos? Well, that's what I used to think. But I was wrong. Polar bears and igloos are in the Arctic, the North Pole. Antarctica is the South Pole. The two poles are at opposite ends of the Earth. In fact, here in Antarctica, the bottom of the world, I am as far from the Arctic, the top of the world, as I can be.
If it's the North Pole, it's Arctic. If it's the South Pole, Antarctic. Both poles have ice and snow. But a few things you should know. Polar bears and igloos, the Arctic. Seals and walruses, the Arctic. Owls and caribou live in the Arctic too. If you think it's cold in the Arctic, you're in for a surprise. It is cold in the Arctic, but the Antarctic's even colder. Seals and penguins, Antarctic, not much else. Antarctic, some scientists work there, but no one calls it home. If it's the North Pole, it's Arctic. If it's the South Pole, Antarctic. If it's the North Pole, it's Arctic. If it's the South Pole, Antarctic. Where can you find the wingless fly? The Antarctic.
Green smoke stands out sharply against the sea ice, guiding us to a safe landing. Before the engines are turned off, a crewman drills a hole in the ice to make sure it's at least 2 feet thick enough to support the helicopter's full weight.
Roger that. Standing by.
We're near the ice edge, and it's melting as the summer temperature rises.
It feels good taking power down.
Watching close by are emperor penguins, the largest of all penguins that live in Antarctica. It's 11 o'clock at night, and the penguins are still active. I'm sitting here on the ice edge surrounded by emperor penguins, and they're not afraid to come right up to me. They have no reason to fear humans, because all their enemies are in the water. On the ice, they're safe. Penguins are birds whose wings are adapted for swimming, not flying. When penguins aren't in the water fishing, they're on land, spending a lot of time, well, I'm not sure what they're doing, but it seems like communication. With densely packed feathers and a thick layer of blubber to keep them warm, penguins are well suited to the harsh Antarctic climate. Emperor penguins stand over 3 feet tall and weigh more than 60 pounds. All emperor penguins have a distinctive yellow marking on the side of their heads. Other kinds of penguins have different markings. Penguins are graceful underwater, but seem awkward walking on ice. Their feet don't freeze. Blood flowing through their feet is carefully controlled to keep them just warm enough. Emperor penguins spend most of their time huddled together on the ice edge, where they can easily get to the sea for food. The emperor penguin, one of the few animals that has adapted well to living in Antarctica. Antarctica has the most hostile climate on Earth, a barren land where there's little life. It's the world's coldest continent. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was recorded here, 127 degrees below zero. Antarctica is also the world's windiest continent. Winds often blow harder than hurricane force. And although there's plenty of ice and snow on the ground, Antarctica gets very little new snowfall each year. In fact, it's the biggest desert in the world, even bigger than the Sahara. This is a continent that has no trees, no cities, no big land animals. Most of Antarctica is covered by ice and snow, but a few places are rocky. Hidden away among the rocks, there is life. Moss and lichen grow, and amid these plants are microscopic wingless flies and these tiny rock mites. That's all there is for life on land. If you want to find bigger animals in this harsh world, you have to look elsewhere, to where the ice meets the sea.
Where the ocean meets the sea. snow. That's the place you call home. You're living on the edge, where the water meets the ice. That's the place you spend your life. You're living on the edge. Antarctica is hard to survive in, but the ocean's a place to stay alive in. Just dive in. Lots of seals and penguins who live on land in water too are living on the edge. They're living on the edge. Living on the edge.
It took me over 3 days to get from New York to Antarctica, and I traveled over 12,000 miles. I had to go to Tahiti, down to New Zealand, where I was outfitted with special clothing.
Roger, Ice-25 has reached our PSR and we have decided to continue for McMurdo. Do you copy? Continue for McMurdo.
And finally, all the way down to Antarctica. In Antarctica, it's light 24 hours a day during the summer. That's why I was able to visit emperor penguins at 11 o'clock at night. They are among the few animals that have adapted well to this harsh climate. 321 Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.